Hello and welcome to Digital Transformation for Humans with your host, Amy. In this podcast, we delve into how technology intersects with leadership, innovation, and most importantly, the human spirit. Each episode features visionary leaders who understand that at the heart of success is the human touch, nurturing a winning mindset, fostering emotional intelligence, and building resilient teams. Today, I'm happy to welcome Max Sinclair from London, UK, a former senior executive at Amazon who played a significant role in shaping the company's marketplace strategies. Now, as the founder and CEO of eContent, Max is leveraging AI to drive innovation and marketplace expansion for his clients. With his vast experience from one of the world's most influential tech companies and now steering his own thriving business and helping other companies to expand as angel investor, Max offers a wealth of knowledge on how to effectively expand presence using AI. Welcome, Max. Great to see you here today.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Let's start the conversation and transform not just our technologies, but our ways of thinking and leading. If you are interested in connecting or collaborating, find more information in the description. Subscribe and stay tuned for more episodes. It's amazing to have you here today, Max. And to start our conversation, it would be so good to learn more about you, about your life journey, and about your transition from the corporate into your own business. Could you please share your story with us?
Sure. So I was at Amazon for 6 years. Started there as a account manager for some of the largest sellers on the marketplace. So people like Anchor, people like Duronic. These are kind of 9-figure Amazon sellers. And then I helped to launch Amazon Business in the UK, the B2B marketplace. Then I went off to Singapore to be part of the team to launch Amazon in Singapore. And then I came back to the UK or EU to help to scale up Amazon Grocery. So when I joined that team, the first kind of two I say strategic projects, I was there from day zero, and then this one I joined when there was one supermarket, Morrison, selling through Amazon to 3P as a 3P seller, and by the time I left that team, we'd scaled that up to about 10 merchants across the EU. Always was very excited by. Well, I've always been very entrepreneurial, always very excited by launching new things, as you could probably tell from my career path at Amazon. And then my now co-founder showed me this is in September 2022. My now co-founder showed me the first public release of Stable Diffusion. And for people who don't know, that was the first open source image generation model where you can put in some text and generate an image. And 2 years ago, almost exactly 2 years ago now, from when we're recording, this felt like absolute magic. This is before ChatGPT. This is before Midjourney. So this is really the first time that I'd seen this technology. And I said to him, rather than kind of generating a generic kind of image, if you have like this specific coffee cup that I'm holding up, could you place that coffee cup in a scene? And he built over the weekend a scrappy V1 of generating an image of a specific product with text. And that had me absolutely convinced that this was just going to be extraordinarily transformational. And throughout different periods of my career at Amazon, I had kind of tried to start side hustles, let's say, with the view of like, if it gets big enough, I'll leave. But with this one, I had the feeling that it's such a huge technological shift. It would take up all my time and energy to really build something, which is going to compete and really be a significant business. So I left Amazon, and like on your specific question, I'm a big fan of kind of cold water swimming. So I was going to Hampstead Ponds near where I live, and kind of debating with two of my closest friends, should I quit my job, which is a crazy thing to do. We had no investment at the time. We just had a rough idea of this is going to be massive and we should be working on it. And I kind of jumped into the cold water, and just immediately, just as I kind of landed in it, I just knew that I had to like take the metaphorical jump in my career. So that was really, I'd kind of gone to that weekend, really kind of tossing it over in my mind and speaking to my grandparents and parents and lots of people that I trusted about whether I should quit my full-time stable job, which had been a very good career for me up to then, to do something in the unknown, just because I had a gut feeling that it was going to be massive. And it was kind of that impact with the water that just kind of made me convinced that this was the opportunity and I had to take it. And that's kind of how we got here.
It is not only super inspiring, but also amazing how much courage and so good connection to your gut feeling you should have to take this step. It takes a lot. And I know a lot of people all over the world who are there on the fence right now. Should I stay or should I go? So you are really a role model for them. And you are a living proof that you can take that step and get multi-billion clients on your own, even after being a senior executive in such a big company as Amazon. So it is really great to hear that it happens in real life.
I would say it took courage, yes, but at the same time, I was fortunate enough to have basically enough savings to keep myself going at my current lifestyle for over a year. And also I didn't have any dependents. So when I kind of was looking at it, I was in a very fortunate position where, yes, it takes courage because it's something that people will look at you and go, "Oh, you're crazy. What are you doing?" and kind of like judge you maybe for it. But I think materially, there wasn't a lot of risk in. I wasn't ever going to be on the street. I was never going to have to look after a child and not be able to pay for them. So in some ways, I was lucky that kind of it came at the right point in my life where it was a risk with some downside of embarrassing myself. And I remember when I left Amazon, my real one goal was that the business survives for 6 months, because I was like, if it doesn't survive for 6 months, I'm going to look like a total idiot. And how embarrassing that I was managing this team of, I had like a team of like 15, and we were building Amazon Grocery, and Amazon Grocery was going to become big and is big, and to kind of just leave that and then come crawling back 6 months later, kind of begging for some kind of terrible job, or working on something boring, and that was my worst case scenario, and I was like, I just really want to make sure that we live for 6 months. And then I guess after 6 months time, we had raised a tiny bit of money, but we were at least feeling the traction from customers, so we could feel that there was really something big happening here, and then the rest is history.
Great. Can you share how your experience at Amazon influenced your approach to marketplace strategy in your current venture? Because we went all the way through to the point where you had to apply all you had on you. So how did it go?
So I think the great thing about starting your own venture is that you can take the best bits from your experience where you've worked, the different teams and cultures, and you can try. I mean, it's hard, but you can try and, you know, take in all the best bits that you like and make that part of your culture and processes in your new place, and the stuff you don't like, you can scrap because, you know, it's your venture. So I guess from Amazon, customer obsession is kind of the most important principle. I saw that, like, since I've left Amazon, customer obsession has taken a totally different meaning, because Amazon, I'm sure in the beginning, you know, had to be very focused on the customers, but by the time you are a $1 trillion company, you're actually very removed from customers, especially in my kind of role. Like, I would never speak to customers. I would speak to the merchants sometimes. I was more leading kind of like internal strategy. So like, which city should we launch in? I was less like, I would be sitting in the important negotiations, but it wasn't my direct role to negotiate with people. I was more saying to the people who were kind of having the weekly calls with these merchants, these are the terms we can accept, these are the things we can't accept. And, you know, I'd be sitting in on some, I don't know, once a quarter meeting with them. But really, I was more kind of looking at the internal strategy of, where's the density, how do we scale up this business, you know, which cities do we go for next, which countries, what are the profiles of merchants that we want, and someone else can go and do the sales to get that merchant, right? So you are like, they talk about customer obsession, and it's a big principle of the company, and I kind of took it into this company knowing that it's an important thing, obviously, to be customer obsessed. It's taken on entirely different meaning, as now I spend all day talking to customers and thinking about how customers use my product. So I guess that's one thing. Another thing that I really saw in my time at Amazon was kind of Jeff Bezos kind of first of all rising from total obscurity. Nobody knew who Jeff Bezos was in 2016 when I joined Amazon. And then in, I want to say, roughly 2018, he became the world's richest man, and suddenly overnight, like, everyone's heard of Jeff Bezos, and you have all the, you know, positive and negative press that comes with, like, suddenly this guy's the world's richest man. You know, I think the stock price basically, you know, it increased by 500% or something. I don't know exactly, you know, I don't know exactly what it was, but it went from about $700 from when I joined to $3,000 at kind of like at its peak. And through that period, Jeff became the world's richest man, and suddenly he went from obscurity to being well known. And then he left the business about a year after he became, you know, the world's richest person. And really, that I saw how hard it was for the culture of the company, like how mission driven Jeff was. And he would speak to the entire company on a quarterly basis. When I joined, there was 350,000 people in the company. By the time he left, there's 2 million people in the company. It's much harder to keep that cohesive. And the culture really, in my opinion, it was harder without the kind of this like visionary founder who was very inspirational, at least for people working there. Like, I think as he became the richest man, you had some people who worked there who were newer, who were like, oh, I hate, like, look at this billionaire, blah, blah, blah. But like, before he was anyone, like, he was incredibly insightful, incredibly intelligent, giving these amazing, you know, he'd write these very impressive letters to shareholders, which are full of just incredible business insights. He would do all of these stand-ups, and he would, every time he spoke, he would say just something extremely profound. So I think for the earlier employees, it was amazing to be led by someone like this, and he was on the mission to make Amazon the world's most customer-centric company. That's what he always said, and like how he broke that down into various different businesses and places. It was amazing, and that kind of losing that mission, in my opinion, slightly, as it just became a big corporation in 2019, 2020. That was something else that I've reflected on a lot. And obviously we are nowhere near that transition, but still we want to be mission driven in any content. And that's really important, I think, for motivation.
So true. But now you know as well what happens when things expand very fast. So you can do something about it and support those who are joining you along that journey.
Mm.
So that's a great experience. And it's amazing that you've been witnessing such an amazing expansion and you've been basically from the beginning and to the point where it became so impactful. And what does it take nowadays to create a successful marketplace presence? Maybe you could share your experience from Amazon and provide some examples from your business clients.
To make him for an e-commerce seller, how can an e-commerce seller have a good marketplace presence?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is kind of what I spend all my days thinking about e-content.
Yes.
Are we are very focused on helping sellers create optimize for AI powered search. So Rufus on Amazon, ChatGPT style search integrated into Amazon. We help sellers to generate visual and written content. And I guess the guiding principle of this is we are optimizing for these AI systems. We are generating content of the seller's target audience, so they are visually present in the images. We are explaining in the copy that we generate as well how the audience can use a product, the context of that, which is all, and providing kind of the context for the intent behind a search, because in these AI powered systems, it's less about keyword matching. It's less about saying I want to kind of just, if I'm selling this coffee cup, I want to say brown clay coffee cup, and have these long tail keywords and trying to hit those search terms. And it's more about the AI systems are going to get more and more personalized and showing people specific products that it knows suits them. And therefore, in your listings, you need to be you need to show the intent, why people will purchase, who is the target audience, all of these type of things, and that's going to be, well, we've already seen the data. It helps to increase the discoverability to the systems, because they don't work. These systems don't work on keywords; they work on tokens. So then, unlike matching for A9, where it does work on keywords and it's just stack ranking keywords, this is a totally different technology. So yeah, that's kind of how we're helping e-commerce sellers.
Exciting. And you already touched a little bit on those AI-driven strategies, but let's take it one step deeper. What are the key AI-driven strategies that startups and even established businesses should focus on to enhance their visibility and competitiveness in crowded marketplaces?
Yeah. So SEO is becoming visual as well as written. So high quality images. And as we kind of touched upon, like we adding content have been fine tuning Stable Diffusion since it came out, since the first week it was possible to do this stuff. So we know, and we've now got a patent which has been approved by the US PTO. So we know, we know how to do, we've been experimenting with how to do this and how to put data into the prompting, as well as the kind of fine tuning aspects of taking an open source model, making it work for product images. But yeah, I think it's going to be more important. I have this strong hunch that AI generated images are going to get to the place where they're basically photorealistic, which I think we're at now. I think it's very hard to, I've done this test with people. I'll show them an AI generated image on e-content and a photograph for the same product, and people honestly guess the wrong one, which is AI, which is photograph. Point two, it's not perfect in every category, but like in some in home, outdoors, garden, pets, it's pretty damn photorealistic. And you have some categories which is less good, like sports equipment. and just. But anyway, but I think we'll get pretty much every category to be photorealistic. But number two, I think AI images will actually be better because the AI systems you're trying to sell to and rank for are going to understand those more. Just because that, it's all created off the same base technology, right? Like, yes, Amazon have trained their own model and it's different, obviously, from what we're doing or anyone else is doing. But fundamentally, like, this technology is all coming from the same place. It's like AI is talking to AIs. I think it's going to be more effective soon than humans talking to AI, and maybe humans talking to humans.
Yes. And it's great when everything is going according to the plan. And I share your vision that that part of AI generated visuals is going to develop and really impact the future on all the levels. But what happens if something goes wrong? What are the most common mistakes companies make when trying to leverage AI for marketplace growth, and how can they avoid these pitfalls?
So I think we've seen lots of startups crop up with this AI boom, which is great. I think it's democratized. It's democratized kind of access to technology. We've seen lots of. You don't even need to be particularly technical now to launch an AI company, and soon everything will be in natural language. So coding is going to become very easy. You just need a good idea. I think for the e-commerce sellers, or if I answer the question for e-commerce sellers, those who aren't looking at this and want to adopt AI, there's a huge shift coming, in my opinion, with people just using AI-powered search as a new normal. I think voice as well as text conversationally will replace kind of the keyword matching search. So Google will not look like it does anymore in a year's time, and we already have the Gemini summaries that Google has, and you have people like Perplexity, and you'll soon have Search GPT, and you have Rufus on Amazon. So I think how people search is going to be conversational. It's going to be totally different from these stack ranking keywords and blue links. So those e-commerce sellers who are not paying attention to AI, I honestly think could go to business because it's super competitive on Amazon. There's a huge churn rate of sellers. I think like the average, like the entire, something like every 4 years, the Amazon seller kind of basis refreshes itself or something like this. Like the life cycle of an Amazon seller is very short. I saw internally, this was a while ago, could even be shorter these days. So yeah, I think if you're not looking at this, you're in trouble because this is, we had, as we talked about before recording, we had Norm Farrar on our podcast yesterday. And I asked him, I said, lots of people compare AI to the internet. Yeah, he's an elder man, maybe he's 60, I'd guess, in his 60s. And I said, you're around during the internet. Is it a fair comparison? He said no, because AI is a lot faster. Like, from his view, like the internet happened, but it happened over years and it's slower. Like this stuff is going absolutely at breakneck speed and is kind of increasing. So I think if e-commerce sellers aren't paying attention to this stuff, they're going to be in real trouble because this is the new internet. It's bigger and faster than the internet. So that's e-commerce sellers. I think for AI businesses, AI startups, it's very tempting to get, caught up with the technology and not focus on customer pain. So, if you lose your like what problem you're solving for the customer and you're just focusing on like something cool and new, you can't build a business around that either.
That sounds really good, and it's super valuable what you just mentioned. I think it is true that the pace of development of AI is so much higher than anything else we've been dealing with, so we have to keep it in mind. And no matter what kind of business you are running, e-com or something outside, anyways, you are going to use AI. and that human centricity should stay there no matter what you're doing, because otherwise you will not be able to compete in a short while, and it's not going to take equally long time to discover that fact as it is today, or it was yesterday.
Yeah.
So, no secret, marketplaces become increasingly competitive, and with so many years in business, first from the Amazon side, and now as a CEO of your own company and angel investor, what innovative approaches can you recommend to implement to stay ahead of the curve on top of everything we already mentioned? What else? Is there something you can think about what is a little bit hidden and not much discussed?
Um, I, I think, when you're building a business, you need to be focusing on like a customer pain. I think any business, e-com or whatever else you're doing. So who is the customer you're solving for? What pain do they have? Have you validated that? And also, the pain evolves, right? So we've seen this in our own business. Like you need to constantly be redoing just customer discovery, just talking to customers, not selling anything, just listening, understanding how they're using your product, and understanding how is their pain evolving. Because, for example, when we started our business, nobody knew how to use ChatGPT. We launched before ChatGPT, right? So nobody knew how to prompt, and now everybody understands prompting and they understand AI to some degree. They've all used it, so they're comfortable. So in many ways, the customer pain that we're solving, or like a key aspect of the customer profile, has changed, because you've gone from people who didn't know like who this was completely alien to, right? Write in a text, generate a product image of your product, an image of your product. That was a crazy concept to people 2 years ago, and they weren't searching for it. They didn't know it existed, and when we showed it to them, they didn't understand really how to use it effectively, because it was just the first time they'd ever come across this technology. Now it's very different, and people have very, very high expectations because they see ChatGPT and how brilliant it is for text, and they expect that level of quality in images. So the customer evolves and changes. So you always need to kind of stay on top of the customer pain you're solving, and that understanding of the customer.
Interesting. This is so exciting and so spot on. So I could keep going and asking you questions for another day or two, but we have to start wrapping up. So I would like to ask you the last question. What is your vision on the future trends and AI impact on humans' life, on the future of behavior, on the future of society as such?
I think humans and AI are going to become extremely integrated. So I would point to language and how we have evolved as humans because of this technology, that in a way we invented language, and it's our mouths have evolved, our throats have evolved, whatever else, lungs, windpipes, I don't know, like all this stuff has evolved to literally center on language, and it's how our societies are built. And I think AI is really going to be as big as that. I think that's a fair comparison. I think the internet or anything else is not a fair comparison when it reaches its full potential. So I think I think somehow humans and like AIs will become integrated. Maybe we all have our own AIs that talk to everyone else's AIs and help us to prioritize what we should be doing each day, and stuff like this. Maybe they're kind of working for us in some ways, like a personal secretary, and is managing our our diary, maybe even taking calls, maybe even, maybe like people like Jeff Bezos can do a one-to-one with every single person in their company because their AI is doing it. And actually, who would you rather have a one-to-one with? Jeff Bezos's AI or your manager? I personally, for me, I'd be like, you know what, if Jeff has spent 6 months training this AI and it's got his insights and his knowledge and experiences, much, and it's kind of somehow a clone of him, much, and it will feed back things to him on aggregate or whatever else. Like, much rather have a discussion with that than have a discussion with my line manager, who, whilst is a great person, or was a great person, don't have nearly that insight or understanding. So I think I think human and AI will become more and more integrated. It's hard to guess exactly how that will be, but I would think this is going to kind of change, really change how the world looks, so that almost to a level where we look back on kind of our hunter-gatherer forefathers and kind of how simple their societies were, and I think however many years forward from now, that will, the future will look back on us in the same kind of awe and like misunderstanding of like how world could possibly exist with like all the AI systems that they have.
Interesting. And I just wonder, when you see how AI becomes our right hand and helps us prioritize in our life and finding questions and answers which are relevant to us, is there danger that it might take over one day?
I think like this a lot of people worry about this. I kind of don't worry about AI systems taking over. I'm more worried about humans. Like, I don't think the need. So like Jan LeCun always says this, like the need to like dominate is a very human thing, and like certain chimps, orangutans, I think, or whichever example it is, like they don't have this need to kind of be the alpha male and like kind of dominate the group. Like, that's a very kind of biological human thing, which like certain animals have and certain animals don't have. So like AI won't necessarily have any, they won't have any instinct or reason to try and take over anything. Like, it just would, like, why would it appeal? It might just might not appeal to them, right? Like a fox doesn't want to come and like dominate, right? So so I think it's, I don't really worry about that. I worry more about humans and this such powerful technology. How can we continue to ensure that it's got equal access to everyone, which we do right now? Like, I think pretty much everyone has access to the same quality of AI. Like, yeah, maybe government, maybe Meta and some companies have slightly better stuff that they are working on internally that other people don't have access to. But broadly, everyone has access to the same power, which is good. And I worry, in the future, could that shift? And suddenly some governments and some companies have far superior stuff to everyone else. And that to me is a much more worrying thing than AI is kind of taking over, like, Terminator or something like this.
It is still supervised by humans, and humans
Yeah.
have different intentions, so it can go in different directions. So true. Thank you so much, Max, for being here today. It's been such a pleasure to have this conversation, and I'm sure our listeners and viewers learned a lot, and they will be able to adjust their strategies and become more successful thanks to your recommendations and everything you shared with us today. So thank you for being here today.
Thanks, Emmy.
Thank you for joining us on Digital Transformation for Humans. I am Amy, and it was enriching to share this time with you. Remember, the core of any transformation lies in our human nature, how we think, feel, and connect with others. It's about enhancing our emotional intelligence, embracing a winning mindset, and leading with empathy and insight. Subscribe and stay tuned for more episodes where we uncover the latest trends in digital business and explore the human side of technology and leadership. Until next time, keep nurturing your mind, fostering your connections, and leading with heart.